is your girl K Destiny, and welcome back to another video. This one is a doozy, and as you can see from the title, I'm giving you guys a life update on what has been happening in my life. And yes, my dad has passed away. Sorry if my voice is like off or whatever. Like, I don't want to make excuses in this video, but anyway, I'm exhausted and just trying to get it together. But yes, my father has passed away. He passed away on the 5th of January. He was very sick and he went into the hospital early December, and from December until January 5th is when he passed away in the hospital. He was in there. I don't even know how, like, I didn't organize how I was going to talk in this video, but I do have this shirt on that a close friend of his made, that he grew up with, who is a close friend of the family. And I have on a chain that says baby girl, because that's what my dad used to call me. It feels so surreal making this video, so I'm just going to try to be as together as possible. Yes, so early December, my dad was at work and he collapsed at work. And he went into the hospital and hasn't left until his passing. I'm not gonna, I mean, it's too complex for me to even say what the issues were, because he had a lot of things wrong. Like, his body was just, it was just a lot of things wrong, you know, and gradually his organs started failing. And then there were 2 times he went into cardiac arrest. And then on his final day, he actually stopped breathing. For a while, he wasn't able to breathe on his own. And then he just eventually just stopped breathing. So yeah, this video is being made on like the 21st or something like that. And his funeral was on the 17th. I don't really know what to say, but it's been up and down. I feel like I handled it really, really well. But that's, for me, I know it's because I've been staying close to God during this time of my father's transition. We kind of, at some point, expected it. You know, if you did go to the hospital and you did see my father, you could tell that he was very sick. And the conversation started coming from the doctors that, you know, his situation isn't really going to get much better. And that's when I really started putting my mentality in, like, wow, like, my father could potentially be on his way out. I prayed, you know, for him to get better. And then just sometimes when it's someone's time to go, and it's, you know, it's God's call, and you just have to be well with the decision. But you know, the doctors will have conversations with me like, you know, we can't really find the reason why he's so sick. And, you know, I worked collectively with his significant other, he's been with for 22 years, my stepmom. We worked with the doctors to try to tell them everything we knew about his condition and maybe why he was as sick as he was. And there was still just certain things that they couldn't figure out. Like, they couldn't just understand why he had internal bleeding, his kidneys were going, his pancreas had an issue, his liver had an issue, then his lungs, and it was just a lot going on at one time. So I remember on the 5th, my younger brother and I, and my brother's girlfriend, we spent a few hours with him at the hospital, and we left at like 7 p.m. And then I got a call around between 10:30 and 11 p.m. that same night. And as soon as I saw that it was the hospital calling, I knew what they were calling for. I knew they were calling to tell me that my father had passed away. And I think it was because of the condition my father was in on that day. Like, that was the worst he's been ever since he's been in the hospital. And mentally, I'm just like, his condition, like, he's just getting worse. Like, he's just getting worse. And they're trying, like, the doctors and the nurses were really trying to, like, help him and just get to the source of it. But I think, unfortunately, my father was just at the point that no matter what we tried, as far as the doctors, no matter what they tried, he was just always going to be sick. So it got to the point where he was just made comfortable until he transitioned out. And being with him on that last day, I kind of knew that he was gonna pass sooner or later. And you know, it was tough because I had to have conversations with doctors, and there was one doctor that was like, you know, I don't see him living past 3 more days. And I was my father's healthcare proxy. Now, if you don't know what a healthcare proxy is someone who has the right to say what the final call is, you know, just in case you aren't able to speak for yourself. My father, due to his cardiac arrest and his issues breathing, he had to be intubated a few times. He hated it. My father did not like being intubated. He did not like having the tube down his throat. And obviously, I don't know what that feels like. You know, I'm not someone who has a tube down my throat, so I couldn't explain what it felt like for him. So it got to the point where the doctors were, you know, there were days where he was conscious and stuff, and he was able to talk and speak. And the doctors asked, like, if you stop breathing again, do you want us to intubate you? My father chose not to be intubated. Then the conversation, I'm gonna get emotional, I'm sorry. Then the conversation went into, if your heart stops, do you want to be resuscitated? And he said no. So I was the person that had to sign the paperwork, the DNR and the DNI. If anybody knows what that means do not resuscitate. That if someone goes into cardiac arrest, you know, they have the option to say whether or not they want to be brought back to life. And the doctor has stated that the second time he went into cardiac arrest, he was down for like 15 minutes. And to bring him back, okay, sorry about that. My best friend ended up calling me, which was good because she was able to distract my mind. And I probably would have went into full meltdown mode. So good thing that she calls. But I remember leaving off saying that the last time he went to cardiac arrest, he was down for 15 minutes. And, you know, during that time, the doctors ended up breaking a couple of his ribs. Just because that's a long time to be under and to be doing compressions on someone. And so some of his ribs broke. So I feel like my father was in pain that no one else knew, of course, because he was the only one in that predicament. So he was probably in a certain type of pain that we couldn't know of. And of course, having a tube down your throat and being fully sedated is just kind of like, his quality of life just wasn't there anymore. It's just like, okay, do I stay sedated with a tube down my throat, or do I not have the tube down my throat and keep going into cardiac arrest and my breathing keeps failing? And then, you know, so I kind of understood where my father was coming from. So me and the doctor stood in his room for like an hour. Like, do you understand that you're asking not to be resuscitated? Do you understand that you're asking not to be intubated? And he was just well aware. He was like, yeah, I do understand. Like, just let me go. And I think my father also realized, like, you know me. This is not the life I want to live. Like, going back and forth between intubation and cardiac arrest and failing breathing. Like, this is not my life. This is not how I would choose to live. So my father was in the hospital for a month. He fought the good fight until it was time to be called home. And yes, I will say his homegoing service was amazing. The funeral was great. The funeral home did so well with him. When I last left my father, you know, he was really thin due to his illness, but they made him look so full and like handsome. Like, my father looked really good in that casket. I know you probably don't hear that a lot, but my father looked really good. He looked sharp. So it was really, the service was easy for me to get through because I wasn't looking at a sick man. I was looking at the man that I knew. Like, you know, like the man that put himself together, the man that, you know, was just poised and all this other stuff. So it was just really, really nice. I did have a meltdown towards the end, but of course, you know, when the casket closed, that moment itself hit me really, really hard. And I, like, dang near collapsed in his casket towards the end. But it's funny because the night before his funeral, I ended up having a dream about him. He was in the middle of the ocean. He was smiling and waving and stuff like that. And that's not the first time I dreamt of someone I was close to who had just passed. So I feel like that was his way of saying, like, I'm okay. The funeral tomorrow is going to be dope. And it was. And to hear the testimonies that everybody gave about my father, like, I knew my father was a good man to me as a father. And my father was my first true love. I'm a daddy's girl, you know, baby girl. But just to hear what kind of person he was to everybody was just remarkable. And I'm just like, I thought I was a good person, and I know I am, but like, I really sat there and was like, yo, if I leave this type of legacy behind, I will be more than satisfied with my life. Like, I'm happy with my life now, but like, I just didn't know my father was just that great, like, to everybody. And, you know, of course, he probably had people who didn't like him and who he didn't like. But for all the people that came and gave their testimonies, like, my father really had a good heart. He was the person that, loyal to the end, got your back no matter what. Your struggle is my struggle. Your pain is my pain. However you need me to help you, I'm going to help you. And it was just so, like, that was the best part. Yeah, my little brother and I ended up giving a eulogy and just sharing our memories and feelings about our dad. And it was just a really, really nice service. Yes, so just to speak a bit on how I'm doing right now. I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. I feel like there are people who would, you know, handle the death of their parent, especially a parent they're close to, differently. And everybody grieves differently, of course, but I feel like I'm doing okay. Like, you know, I'm not emotionally at a place where I'm like, oh my God, my life is over because my dad isn't here anymore. This is a situation where I really went with God with. Like, you know, I prayed consistently. I see God in all of this. And I'm just grateful that I was blessed with such a father. And I know he's in heaven. I'm not even worried about him. Like, I know he's fine. But, because there's no way a man that miraculous could go anywhere else. And I'm just really, really pleased with that. But I am okay. You know, the day after his funeral was the hardest for me because it felt like, wow, this is like the official first day that even, how can I say this? It felt like the first official day without my father. Like, you know, even though he passed on the 5th and the funeral was on the 7th, the 18th was the hardest day for me. So I just cried throughout the day. Like, it wasn't that great of a day for me, but the days are getting better. I look at our pictures often. I took a picture, like, y'all, he looked so good in his casket. I took a picture of the casket. And for some reason, that picture gives me comfort because, honestly, he looked like a freaking, like, civil rights activist. And, like, he looked so good. He looked really good. But, I just look at pictures. I go on Facebook and I see all the love he's getting on Facebook. Facebook does really make me sad most of the time, though, so I need to stop going on Facebook. But it's really nice to see the love that he's receiving. Yeah. Just to give, like, a little background on my life with my dad. My dad, from the age of 6 to 16 in my life, my dad was my sole parent. My mother had moved away. She had moved out of town. So my brothers and I were in my father's custody. So my father was a single parent for a while. And, you know, it's just, you just build a different bond with a single parent. I guess you could say, like, you know, it's different when you have the option of, like, oh, either I'm always with mommy doing girly things, or I'm a daddy's girl always up under daddy. But it's kind of like I kind of had no option but to be a daddy's girl and be up under daddy. So that just made us extremely close. Like, my father would leave a room and I would get anxiety attacks. Like, where's daddy going? I want to be with daddy when daddy's coming back. Like, that was me as a kid. But, yeah, I feel like I owe a lot of who I am today to my father. I feel like the strength that I have, you know, a lot of personality traits I have as, you know, just being a young black woman who could stand on her 2 feet and be like, this is what it is. And just just strong. Like, I do owe a lot of that to my dad because, you know, you tend to take on character traits. And mind you, I'm the only girl. So it was me, my 2 brothers, and my dad. So I'm just surrounded by all this testosterone and just masculinity. And I just think it made me turn out a certain way that I'm proud of. I am proud of. Yeah. Getting older, you know, of course, I'm an adult and I live in my own apartment, and then my dad has his life. But whenever I would link with my dad, it was always good times. It was always that baby girl, daddy's girl vibe, and my dad was proud of me. I know that for sure. He's going to be proud of me. He is proud of me. But he will really, really be missed. He will really be missed. Yeah, his passing just honestly ignited like a hustle mentality in me, and just making sure that I go forth with everything that I want to do full force, like no stopping, just grinding, just to know, like, no matter what, his death wouldn't be in vain. But I just want to know that, like, I'm doing what he would have wanted me to do, and I'm building my empire, and I'm just doing things that he could look down and say, I'm so proud of you. Like, even though I know he's proud now, but I just want to keep that energy up. So that's that. I feel like this, I don't know, this is just such a not a random video, but it's just so impromptu. Like, I'm not together. I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. But yeah, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. If anyone else has lost a parent, grieving the loss of a parent, I empathize, sympathize with you. Like, it's not easy. It's really not easy, especially when you're close to the parent. I feel so grateful for my support system emotionally. Like, I feel like I would have been way worse if I didn't have the amount of people in my life that really was like checking in on me and trying to make sure I was okay. Because everybody was just like, you have to be good in order for you to get through this. Like, your mental health is important. So whatever you need, just let us know. Make sure you do A, B, C, D to make sure you are good to go. Like, so that was really good. Sorry, someone called me again. Just people checking in on me. But yeah, I'm okay. And first of all, I am excited for what is to come on my channel. Like I told you, my father's passing really has put me in a like go-getter mode, and I'm really all in the name of making him proud. I'm excited for my future, and I know y'all gonna go along with me on this journey. I don't know when my next video will be. I just want to update you guys. I will be back in February though, because I'm relaunching my businesses in February. So I'll be back in February. What day in February, I don't know, but I'll be back in February. And yeah, you know, I'm okay. God is still good. I know my father is in a good place, and all will be well. All will be well. His death will not be in vain, and the spiritual side of me sees the bigger picture in all of this, and I'm ready to go. And I just want to thank you guys for coming back to another video, and I'll see y'all, if not before February, in February. And I thank you all. And thank you for watching another video. Later.
Bryant will leave here.
Yeah, I'll take him out.